Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are back with another Neurodiversity Stories, and I am your host. My name is Darren Clark. Why do we put on Neurodiversity Stories, and what is our mission? Why are we here? I set up Neurodiversity Stories quite some time ago. I think we're on kind of like episode 25, 26, something like that. And it was purely to spread more awareness around neurodiversity and to also have some incredible people all come here and just have a conversation about maybe their journey around neurodiversity, and kind of experiences, maybe the people they work to, maybe family members. And we have had an amazing array of guests, incredible guests come on. And I am absolutely thrilled today to have my good friend joining us today. I know how incredibly busy she is. So when she reached out and said, I'd love to be a part of this, I literally grabbed hold of it with both hands and absolutely delighted to be welcoming Keisha shortly. Obviously, guys, we can't do this without your support as well. So if you could let us know where you're tuning in from. We spread this channel out and it goes, global. We get people from Australia, America, India, Kenya, so Poland as well. So all across the globe. So if you are watching this live, please, feel free to comment, let us know where you're tuning in from, and also connect with the other people that are tuning in as well, because what we want to do really is build a global community of all like-minded people, all helping to spread that awareness around neurodiversity. So please, like I said, do let us know where you're tuning in from. I want to say a massive thank you as well to our sponsors. We have Claro Writer Helper, who are helping to sponsor our Neurodiversity Stories. And I want to just share this with you.
If the thought of writing essays fills you with dread, then you need Claro Writing Helper from Claro Software. Our intuitive, easy-to-use software takes the stress out of essay writing by giving you 7 clear, easy-to-follow steps to help you organise your thinking, develop the flow, capture snippets from documents and websites, and produce great essay content. Contact us today to start your free 15-day trial and say goodbye to essay writing anxiety.
So a massive thank you to our sponsors. All their details of their incredible software will be all in the blurb at the bottom. And if you are watching this on YouTube, listen on the podcast, and please do check out all the links to this incredible software. So guys, like I said, my name is Darren Clark, and I'm the host of Neurodiversity Stories. I'm a global I forgot then. What am I? Who am I? So my name is Darren Clark, and I'm a global neurodiversity consultant. I work with global organizations to spread more awareness around neurodiversity with teaching and training. So guys, you're not here to see me. You're here to see my incredible guests. So today we have my good friend, we have Keisha Adair Swaby. She's a mother, wife, inspirational speaker. She definitely is. Radio Diamond presenter, Jamaican Parish ambassador, and the founder of Empowering Dyslexics. She's tirelessly creating awareness of dyslexia and dyspraxia. And today we're going to be speaking to her about kind of her own late diagnosis and kind of the challenges that kind of have. I know personally for me, being diagnosed at 36 is very kind of, to try and get an understanding of that late diagnosis. So we're going to be touching on that topic as well. We're also going to be speaking about her dyslexia and dyspraxic journey. And like I said, the challenge on this. So please, if you haven't grabbed a coffee already, then please sit back. It's going to be an amazing conversation. And I would like to welcome my guest. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Darren. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Like I hope I gave you justice in the intro. Like I said, I'm a massive fan of the work that you're doing. I know we touched kind of on the subject offline, and which we'll go on shortly, of how you were able to kind of, from a dyslexic, be able to kind of work all those different buttons and everything. I struggle sometimes with just a few buttons on this show, but we'll go on to this. But without further ado, like I said, I've been connected with you on LinkedIn and on Facebook for quite some time, seeing the incredible work that you do. It'd be amazing if you could just let the viewers and the listeners know a little bit about you. That would be amazing.
Yeah, no worries. So my name is Keisha Adair Swaby. I live in Manchester. My journey with dyslexia goes a long way because I grew up in Jamaica and I came to the UK. So that's where it all started, really. And at the moment, I've got a mother of 4 children, a wife, and I'm also doing some studying. I'm doing a master's in health psychology, and that's me.
That's a master's in. How are you finding doing a master's? I mean, I don't sound kind. I'm just going when I talk about this. I'm talking about my own kind of perspective and how I kind of learn and study. I mean, I tend to look at everything kind of off of YouTube. That's because I'm a visual learner. I tend to look if someone else is physically doing it, then I can kind of learn that way. But I guess. How does that kind of? How do you feel doing the master side of it? Is there a certain way that you kind of learn from that, or the techniques?
Yeah, because it's all about when the studying, because as you know, it takes us longer to get our heads around certain things and we'll have to reread. And so my study style is different, where I'm visual like you. So I like to see things, how it's done. Once I see how it's done, I can, do that and better of it. But the thing is, it's about taking your time and pacing yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself as well, because studying is not easy. When being neurodiverse doesn't help either. So it's all the strategies that you develop. When I do my work, I use quite a lot of colors. So I highlight a lot of things in yellow on the screen, so that I need to go back to that. I highlight everything that I need to, in highlighted as well, like reading articles, everything has to be highlighted so it's easy and accessible for me.
That's really good way, because I look at when I'm reading something, I tend to say I'm reading a book. If I haven't, I tend to read the same page quite a few times. But if I'm reading the book and then I put it down, and then the next couple of days, I forget about reading it, and then I pick it up. Sometimes that kind of memory of even though I've turned the page to say where I am in that page, I start reading it and thinking, my goodness, what happened? So I end up. It takes me twice as long reading the book anyway, but almost 3-4 times trying to remember what was kind of the story beforehand. And I guess when you say about studying, it's hard. When you look at something like a master's, which it is like a marathon, isn't it, of learning. It's not it's not like trying to watch a tutorial of one thing of fixing something and saying, okay, I've got that, you turn this way, you do this. It's that long duration of time, isn't it?
I mean, it hasn't been easy, but as you know, we're resilient and we're determined. That's dyslexic people. We're not going to give up. So, whilst it's hard, you have your challenges. You do try and find solutions and work around them. Yeah. So it's all about knowing what your strengths are, really, and what your challenges are.
Absolutely, and we see this in abundance with so many people. We take dyslexia. It's almost because that different way of looking at something is, we kind of, they say, so kind of go around the houses, so to speak, to try and fix the problem. It gets done, but it's in such a kind of creative way.
Yeah.
I want to kind of touch on, if it's okay. So you said you were kind of diagnosed late on in life. Would you mind me asking what kind of age you were when you were diagnosed, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that's fine. So my diagnosis, I've had it all the way through my life. I just didn't know what it was. So I was doing my degree at the time. And for the last few assignments of the degree, I made it my effort to ask someone to check it. So when I took it to the library and I asked Leslie took it and she checked it and everything. And when I went back to her in the library, she said to me, "Oh, I didn't know you were dyslexic." And I was like, okay.
Is that the first time someone, sorry to interrupt, is that the first time someone mentioned it to you? So it was kind of...
Yeah, it was like one of those moments where life-changing moment. And she said, "I know I can spot it because I've got a brother who's also dyslexic, and I see the way you do things in your assignment that made me think that you are." So because it was the last few weeks of my degree in uni, from I heard that, I contacted student support. emails started going around, because had I left, they wouldn't be responsible for me to get a diagnosis or, So all of that went through very, very fast, and I got an appointment and got a 3-hour, the assessment. And after that, I came out severely dyslexic and dyspraxic. So that was a thing where, because I had been working for 12 years in local government, but I came out of that job in 2016 and then started studying. So hadn't I, had I stayed in that job, the same thing would have been carrying on. Yeah, so that's the way I got diagnosed. Age 41.
Yeah, I was 36. So it's really interesting when I speak to people and they talk about the kind of the late diagnosis, because you must be inundated with people, with the work that you do. I'm sure, and being an ambassador and everything, people contact you with their stories, which is so humbling when people will send you their stories and how they got diagnosed and stuff. And when I speak to people with a late diagnosis, I can really kind of relate to how I felt at that time. How did it make you feel? Did it kind of,
it absolutely changed everything. And this is why I'm always champion the benefits of getting diagnosed, because you actually finally understand why it is that you do things the way you do, what it is why you have all these challenges, and why you really could excel at certain things. For me personally, it was a life-changing moment when she said that to me, and when I got the diagnosis, because coming from a diagnosis as well, and if you're studying, it makes a massive difference in regards to the support that you can get. So that's why I'm always championing the importance of people getting diagnosed.
Because there is this kind of, some people think, well, actually, I kind of know I'm dyslexic, so to speak. I don't need kind of to go down the route of the diagnosis side of it. But like you said, it depends, I guess, if you're going into workplaces or studying. The actual diagnosis side of it, it can, like I said, it can really help, because it does unlock a lot more doors, I guess, and a bit more kind of understanding. I'm interested to know when I got diagnosed, I got severely dyslexic and ADHD. That was kind of what they said. Although when I look at Neurodiversty and I speak to all the incredible people, there are elements of other things as well that dip into that. And I think, well, maybe, and I'm thinking, no, just calm down. It's, I have a bit of this, like a shopping list. And I
totally understand, because they're all entwined anyway. Because the way I think, because it's just recently I'm learning a lot more about ADHD, and the way I think and the way I do things and my mind and everything, thinking, I've never been tested or diagnosed with it, but I know that there's elements that's lapping over definitely. So when you say that, I can really relate to that. Definitely.
I was in because when they diagnosed and they said it's severe dyslexia and ADHD, and at that time I didn't know what kind of dyslexia was. I mean, my diagnosis came off the back of I wasn't told. I knew there was something. I wasn't told. It was more on the basis of there was a news article going on. I think it was kind of like a Points West or something in the afternoon, and they were interviewing an entrepreneur, and they said, why did you set up this floristry business? And she started saying about her dyslexia. So at the time, starting my own business as an entrepreneur, I was thinking, oh, this is a segment about entrepreneurship. So I was kind of, listening. And then when I really went into the interview, it was only a 3 or 4 minute segment. And it was all about kind of dyslexia. And they were saying, I can't spell the bouquets of flowers, but I can tell you by smells and colors what they are, and all these different things. And when she started talking about the way that she sees the world, that was when it was kind of a light bulb moment for me to go, okay, so that connection, okay, it sounds like something that I'm going through, because it can be a real struggle, can't it? Before then, thinking, why am I not getting it? Were you asking those kind of questions?
Always. I'm always like, why does it take me so much longer to actually read something and digest it? Why am I always walking and tripping over my own feet? Why is it I'm tripping downstairs, tripping upstairs? There was all these questions, but I didn't know what it was. So the diagnosis kind of fit the puzzle. Everything fits in the puzzle.
I sometimes, because people's asked this question before, if you can kind of take away your dyslexia. So I think it was maybe on the show or the thing. Someone said, if someone gave you the powers to take away your neurodiversity, your dyslexia, would you allow it? And I really do. I would really struggle, because that would just be taking away
it's
me.
part of you. Yeah, exactly. That's the way you are, and there's nothing you can do that's going to change that.
Absolutely. And I love because when you delve into it, you think, does my creativity come from this? Does my drive, does my hunger, does all these things, does that come from this? Does it come from dyslexia, ADHD? What does it come from? But it would be, we're talking hypothetical, of course, but I just really, I couldn't imagine a world where I wasn't able, because I feel sometimes there are struggles, and I'm sure, that it's almost like a reset button, isn't it? No matter if you have a day where you're thriving, you're doing these things, the next, I always feel like it's a bit like Groundhog Day in some aspects of your learning, but I wouldn't have that kind of taken away. And I'm sure, like you said, you wouldn't either.
No, definitely not, because it's part of me, and we have some amazing strengths. Our communication skills, our empathy that we have for others. The way we're resilient towards certain things, the way what we want to achieve as well that's a big element of it, because some of us have been told that you're stupid, or you're not good enough, or you're not that. So we've had that. So we try to work 100%, 110% harder than everybody else, because we want to make that point to say that yes, we can do it.
Do you think that that's a really, really wonderful point that you've made in that drive? Although it's not to kind of prove someone wrong, so to speak, but do you think that's inherent in us, then in that we kind of, because we find things such a struggle, that when we go into something, we tend to think, well, actually, we need to kind of put that extra effort in to do it. And then that's why we flourish and succeed in what we do. Definitely.
I think that's got a strong correlation to it, because even with studying, we'll go above and beyond, we'll make sure that we've done that and more to ensure that we've got there and we've achieved what we need to achieve. So yeah.
So I'm really fascinated about your radio show. I avidly tune in to this and like I said, I know we've mentioned about pushing all the buttons and doing this and things like this. I'm always in awe of that, and it's an incredible show. And guys, if I will put a link to that, if that's okay, I'll put a link to that if you guys want to check it out. But how did that kind of come around?
Okay, I love sharing this story, because it's kind of double-barreled in a way, where it's showing people that whatever dream that you have, don't give up on that dream, whether you're dyslexic or not. When I was growing up in Jamaica as a child, my great-granddad had this little blue radio, and I was forever getting in trouble because I was fascinated to find out, why is it there's a voice, but I can't see who's inside of it?
Amazing.
So I was really fascinated. And one of my dreams as well was to come to the UK from that age. So I was always fascinated. The radio was a puzzle to me. And I just thought, one day I'm going to be that voice behind that radio, because I'm just fascinated by this. And then in 2000, after I left my job in 2016, 2017, I had an email come through on campus from our student engagement officer. And it was for a project to do with the BBC Radio Manchester.
Wow. Okay.
Being dyslexic, it asked for so much information, Darren. They wanted to know so much about me, what I want to bring to the station, what show I want to bring to them, what my plans were and everything. And I just kept putting it off because I got overwhelmed by the amount of information that I had to fill in. So I started doing it, and I do it bit by bit. That's another thing. It's very important. Don't get overwhelmed. So I started doing it, and I did it, and just sent it off, and I thought, I'm not going to hear anything from that. I was in a lecture one day, and then I got a call from the BBC Radio Manchester and said that we really love your idea and we really want you to be part of the project. So I had to go for 3 separate stages of interviews and presentation to them. And then I got accepted to be part of the project. So that's how my journey started in radio, really. And then from that, someone invited me onto Radio Diamond. 2 ladies invited me for interviews to interview me. And they kept saying to me, "Oh, Keisha, you're really good at this. You should try and get a show on the radio, you know." And I was like, no, I can't be doing that with all them buttons and knowing what to do and all these sounds and everything. And what, you know, I just not going to get my head around it. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? It's always been a dream. So if I'm going to get a permanent slot for myself, permanent show, I should go for it. And then I went for it, got a bit of training, you know, trying to get my head, writing everything down so I can remember. And with time, as time progressed, I took my time, bit by bit. I remember interviewing my first guest. It was Coyote from The Apprentice, who was on The Apprentice.
I love that guy.
yeah, you know that guy. So he was my first guest, and I remember he sat in the studio, and I was like, I was like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I interviewed him, and it went really well. And after that, that really you know, increased my confidence and saying that I can do this. This is really, and from then that's the story really in a nutshell.
Wow, that's incredible. Having, you know, that kind of high profile, as I mean, because like I said, you're you know, a lot of listeners, a lot of pressure, a lot of, you know, and then you have a guest come in which is completely, you know, known globally from the show.
He was very current as well, because he was on the show. You know, practically just come off The Apprentice. It was really. So
it wasn't like here's past and present. You know, what's coming in. It was like, bam. There's the, you know, there's the guest. Oh my word. So but obviously, you know, did that kind of performance come into you? You know, that kind of, you know, thinking, you know, because the mind talk must be, you know, I can do this, and then the technical side of it is something else, isn't it?
It's that negative self-thought to think that, and something that dyslexics suffer from, I don't know if anybody else but myself, imposter syndrome as well, thinking, because when I got the project to do the BBC Radio Manchester, I was like, how have I got here? How has this happened? And so, and then it just sort of like comes second nature now. It just, the radio to me is just part of my life, part of me.
But I can see, you know, when I see you, you know, doing your show, what I love about it is that even though you feel more comfortable in you know, in your surroundings and what you're doing, you can still see that passion. It's not just a you know, a job. Every single show you do and everything you do is like the first time, and that is. I wouldn't say maybe it's a dyslexic trait, but I'd say that's that passion that you know, you feel like you found something that you love doing, and it glows and you know, in shows. But hats off to you to have that, have him as a first guest. I mean, because I guess you're, you know, was your kind of mindset throughout the interview kind of thinking, you know, is this going well, or am I going to ask this or this, or were you just kind of focused on, you kind of know what you were going to do?
I think on the day, because whenever I have an interview, the guests always say to me, "Oh, can you send me a set of questions?" Which I always tell them no, because it's a chat. I don't have it scripted. I'm not going to script. So on the day, we just had a chat first before we went on air, and then we just talked, like, you know, having a normal conversation, because
But I guess that, like you said, you know, with dyslexia, great communicators. It's funny as that I said great communicators. I can't even pronounce this. How ironic! Great communicators in that, making, you know, and like I said, when someone says, "Oh, it's just a chat," and you're having a conversation, that element of it really kind of helps. Definitely helps me, because it just, I feel like a chat can kind of go anywhere, and it. Which will bring me back to when you were kind of, did you go through an interview process? Did you have to go through an interview process to get the position? Was it quite a tough process?
When I was doing a project with BBC Radio Manchester, but not to be on Radio Diamond, no, that would just, you know, that just happened.
Because I always think back to some of when I was working kind of in corporate and retail, I look back on some of the assessments that I used to do or interview processes to maybe get, you know, a promotion to the next role, or, you know, go up the ladder, whatever it is, the terminology that they use. And a lot of, I mean, all throughout my corporate career, I was undiagnosed dyslexia and ADHD. So I always found that, people would say to me, you work really hard. You work so many hours. I mean, I was 85, 90 hours a week. But when I look back on that, I think to myself, I worked that long because had I been able to kind of do some of the stuff a little bit more simpler, so probably using the right terminology, I probably would have been able to reduce my workload, because some of the tasks, I mean, that was difficult. And I remember some of the interviews just being, I went through a 3-day assessment to be, I think it was a store manager, and it was literally from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, 3 days in a row. And I actually felt like my brain was on fire. I actually felt like I could put my hand on my head, and like I felt, as if there was heat coming out, where I was so exhausted. Have you been in situations before, obviously prior to the diagnosis, where you felt sometimes the interview process has been?
That is, I'm glad you've touched on that, because that is just a massive area in the working environment, because not everyone learned the same way. And I had the same situation where I went for 4 times, I went for promotion, and I did great at the interview, everything else. However, with that interview had a test, maths test of all things, and I am no anything to do with numbers at all whatsoever. Nothing to do with numbers, Darren. So I never got promotion, and I would never move up the ladder because of those barriers that I was facing, because I didn't know that I had dyslexia at the time. My employer didn't know. However, the education system and the way employment is, it has to change, because the struggles that we go through in regards to tests, give me 10 assignments rather than 1 exam. Yeah. I'm happy to do the assignment. I can write. Might not even make sense, but it's there. But the test, when you say exam, personally, I just clam up, because I just don't like the pressure and I know it's going to take me longer. I know. Yeah, no,
I think back to maybe some of the, to give you kind of an example of what one of the 3-day assessments were. There was one day where there was structured business plans, so writing business plans. And then, so you'd have an hour. So you'd start off at 9 o'clock, and then you'd have an hour to put together this proposal of this, scenario of a business plan or something, a business case or something, a business case in why you should use some of the budget for the store to do this. So you'd have to write that for an hour, and then literally from the minute they'd ask you to put the pen down, and then you would go into a room and then be interviewed for an hour, and then you would come back out and then have a quick coffee or something, and then go back in and then write another proposal for another scenario of a business plan of something else, then go back in and have another assessment, and then the afternoon, I think it was then a breakdown of the 2 plans that you've done. And that was just, one of the days. And I think back, I just remember the 3rd day, we were all sat rounding on the table. We had all the other managers that were applying for this position, promotion. And it came to me, and I physically couldn't talk. I prepped the whole, I was burnt out. I prepped the whole day. I had everything in front of me. And as they went round and you had to give this 20-minute speech in front of everyone else, I was so exhausted. I literally just went, I'll pass. And they had people in the room behind you, or you didn't know who was assessing you or who was marking you. Yeah. And I just remember that there was a gentleman, and he literally, as soon as I said that, he just put his pen down and closed his book. So I thought, that's who's assessing me. After the 3 days, all the work that I put in, I didn't get. At that point, I then got promotions later on in life, but I didn't get that. And I just up until my diagnosis, I didn't really know. I would look back on that, because the mind's beautiful. Yeah. We don't know whether it's reality or if it's, now. And I look back and kind of still kind of clam up, I guess, about that scenario. But you're absolutely right. There needs to be more consideration, I guess, in the workplace, to have those different avenues, because like, with yourself, they would assess you on, maybe if they gave you a maths test and they said, well, actually, your maths test came back, like mine would, not the right points that they would want, but if they give you something else, you'd excel.
Yeah, definitely. And that's about the learning styles that everyone has, and once you can identify that, that's a bonus, massive bonus.
I want to touch on as well. You do. You're a public speaker or keynote speaker. I'm never too sure now what terminology to kind of use with this. And also as well, did I read something about Les Brown or Les Brown?
Yes, I am a certified Les Brown speaker, so I did his program, and yeah,
his story. When I first, I do kind of public speaking in talking as well, and I would say hands down is the first person that I listened to who inspired me so much. I would listen end to end. Like I would Google, YouTube all the time, and I would just play it in the car, when I'm walking the dog, when I'm at the gym, whatever. Just like the most.
He's amazing.
Oh, man. What was that like? Are you allowed to share? I'm not asking you to
Yes,
share.
No, it's fine because I did the program. So every Wednesday night, I'm still in the group and part of the whole network of people all over the world. And what it is, in 2006, my dream, I discovered Les Brown in 2013. And when I was in the crossroads of leaving my job and everything, started listening to Les Brown like every morning, especially the speech in the Georgia Dome. And I kept listening, and I also was reading a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And that gave me, those two people gave me the inspiration. So in 2016, I joined his academy because he had an academy in Florida. Wow. I joined that. There's about 5 of us within the UK that was part of it. However, I came out of it through personal challenges that were going on at the time, came out of it. But when I saw that advertised and saw that Les Brown, you have on a Wednesday night, we have a meeting, we have a Zoom with him, and he teaches all of us. It's like sometimes it's 500 of us on there, and he'll talk and he's there. He's just such an amazing person. So when I saw it advertised, I just jumped for it. I thought, Les Brown, certified speaker, I'm doing that. So I did it. I did it because I always, when I used to go out, I used to say, yeah, Les Brown, my dad. Yeah, and people used to look at me, Les Brown's your dad? I said, yeah, he is. He's my father of motivation because he's such a great guy. And I've always been inspired by him, from being classed as mentally retarded, everything that he went through with his parents, being a twin with his twin brother.
His story is so powerful, isn't it?
His story is powerful from where he come from, and now he's reaching people globally. He's stopped traveling now because of the pandemic and stuff, but he's still reaching people online. Yeah.
I there are a few. If someone said to me, who inspires you, and especially as a motivational speaker, or I almost, it's difficult because I don't class him as a it's almost something that surpasses motivational speaking. It's just it's almost quite comforting as well. If I'm honest, if I'm able, if I need a spark of inspiration, if something's that drive or something. I know whatever I put on, it doesn't matter whether he's telling about his story, whether he's telling about something else, or just giving you that kind of that talk. They are, I completely concur with you.
He's so down to earth. He's so funny. He is, you see him and his
laugh, isn't it?
When you're in his space, it's like you realize that, wow, that's Les Brown. Yeah, the things that it's really, really, really great.
I can imagine being in that circle as well. It is, with his laugh and his motivation is contagious. On that. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because, like I said, I'm a massive fan, and I just, it was great to kind of get some inside information and talk about that as well. I noticed as well that you're part of. So you're a founder of Empowering Dyslexics and Creating Awareness. How important is it then? Because I know we spoke about this, beforehand as well, about us kind of being in this bubble. I'd say bubble, but kind of where we're talking about dyslexia and neurodiversity and dyspraxia, on a daily basis, and then we go out of this kind of circle, so to speak, and then we go into the workplace or the real world, and sometimes it's not topical or on the agenda. How important is it then to you to keep spreading that message? I know it's a hypothetical, not hypothetical.
I wear it. I am proud, and I make it known, because finally, when I knew what it was, and I knew, everything just fell into place for me. So for me, it's very, very important. Wherever I go, I'm always spreading the word, and I am not ashamed to say it. But what I've noticed is there's still a lot of stigma attached to it and shame. And that's something I'm trying to change within the Black community as well, because there's a lot of things that misconceptions, because they don't really know much about it and what it is, and they don't really know that, listen, this is your superpower, you need to own it, you know, make it work for you, because once you can identify what your strengths are, they really overcome all the challenges that you're going to have anyway. So wherever I go, I'll let people know that I'm dyslexic, and I'm proud to always tell them, and because it's in my family. My daughter also dyspraxic, and then I'm going through one of my twin as well. She is going through the assessments as well with the occupational therapist. So it's very important. It's close to my heart, because I don't want anyone who, you know, to go through what I've gone, been late diagnosed at 41. I'd like, especially children, it's so important. I cannot express it enough. And I always tell parents, look at the things that your children are doing, you know, because the early diagnosis will save them a lot of bother as they grow up.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think like I said, it's truly incredible. And it really, you know, people, you know, you're inspirational, and what you've done in your journey and what you're continuing to do. And I know that there'll be people kind of looking up to you, and owning that kind of dyslexia, you know, owning that, you know, the kind of the, you know, saying I'm proud that this is helped me in that side of it. Like I said, I guess we don't realize how many people we help, you know, because there's probably people that watch, you know, the stuff that you do and everything, and they go, you know, I aspire now to do this, or I aspire that because of, you know, what you've done. So it can be really powerful.
It was, because when I sort of came out and let the whole world know on Facebook, and I shared a bit of my story, I was overwhelmed by the response, because everyone sees me. And because this is the thing, because the misconception people say to me, which really still upsets me at the moment, that no way you can be dyslexic. You do all this, you do this, you do that. Yeah, I do all this and whatever, because those are the things that you see in there. Those are my big strengths, you know, doing the radio, inspirational speaking, doing my advocacy, all the things that I do. Yeah, but when they say to you, yeah, people can't, I am. Certainly am. I'm dyslexic.
I guess when you're so right, when people say this, they say, you know, how can you possibly be? As if, you know, but again, I guess it's that their, you know,
misconception of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does bring down to that, you know, the reason people are still asking and saying, well, you know, you don't seem like you are, you know, you don't act like you are, and you know, those aspects. It is even more why we need to continue spreading that more awareness around, you know, the understanding, you know, of it. And I know you kind of mentioned as well how important it can be, you know, from an early age as well. And I guess because we both have been diagnosed, you know, late on in life, that support for a child. You know, I look back and I think, you know, everything seemed a little bit cloudy, a little bit kind of, I didn't really understand why, you know, my peers were kind of, you know, getting it or understanding. And I guess that support, even if it's not an initial support, like, you know, no one's going to say, you know, I have dyslexia, you have a diagnosis, and then suddenly they'll give you all the tools and everything else, and then you're cured and everything's done. But it starts that process, doesn't it? Of the journey of understanding.
Yeah, because, you know, I've seen it in the communities where, because children have gone undiagnosed through primary school, go through college, end up in university, and that's when only those who are brave enough to say, you know, I'm going to carry on my studies, I'm going to take the plunge and do it. What about those who haven't and have come out of the school system? Some children have come out, they're frustrated, they don't know what's wrong, and all it is just, it might be just something like neurodiversity. That's all it is. It might be just a learning difference, but that doesn't get picked up. So I have noticed that majority of people in my network, a lot of them are late diagnosis or when they've got to university. But what about those ones that didn't, you know?
I agree. And you think of, you know, university, you know, school in any aspect is tough. It's a tough environment in school because there's, you're growing and there's so many different, pressures within school. And then obviously you've got the educational side of it, which is pressured as well. But then, get into university and then, I like I said, I've heard lots of stories where people say I've got to university within the first couple of weeks, a tutor had said this, and then suddenly I then got diagnosed. But that must be then, tough when you go to university and you get that diagnosis in university at that age as well. It
really is, because for me, when I look back now on the thing, when I was doing my degree, even whilst I came out with the first class honors degree, I'm thinking all through that 3 year I've been doing it, I didn't have the support because I didn't know. So, and there's support there for me to access, but because I wasn't diagnosed, I wasn't able to, and I didn't know. So it has a massive impact on things. It really does.
Did you feel, because we have to kind of, we talk about kind of burnout in the sense, because we, throughout our lives, I guess we just continue. We're like, okay, pick ourselves up and go again and go again and go again. Yeah. And our mentality is, well, it's almost like with my ADHD, I find it very difficult to relax and to kind of slow down and turn my mind off. You're always kind of hyper thinking about different scenarios as well. And we have to kind of, I guess, protect our own mental health in the sense of, trying to reduce the burnout. Did you find with your kind of studying in that sense of it that you felt, you had to kind of be careful not to hyper focus in
Definitely. Because like yourself, my brain is hyperactive. So I find it struggle to switch off. I have a million ideas that I want to execute. I have a million business ideas that I want to do. But it's one of those, where do I start? It's so it is important to kind of, because we go 100 miles an hour, we just keep going. And that can create burnout. It's very important, because alongside dyslexia and quite a few of the neurodiversity issues, we have other things attached to it. You've got to think about mental health as well. That's a big part of it. Huge. So we have to be very, very careful in regards to our thinking and what we're doing and how fast we're doing it.
I couldn't agree with you more. And if you take a child that's been through school and struggled through school and then left school with probably not the grades that will, I guess, help them.
I left school with nothing. I left school with absolutely nothing.
This is why it's even more commendable in what you're doing at the moment. I'm with you on that. Literally wasn't allowed to take any exams because it was, classes a waste of paper. That was their words, not mine. So it really is difficult then entering the workplace without that box you can fill in where it says what were your grades in school. That next level, because it's always kind of, what do you do after school? And I can imagine you then go into a scenario where the mental health kicks in, or if it hasn't already, because then the depression of or the expectation of, why I need to get this, but I can't. And that's where the kind of, I find sometimes when I left school, the support, although I didn't have a huge amount of support in school, I felt when I left school, there was literally zero support, because you take school, for instance, there's an expectation that you need to turn up, you need to do your lesson, you need to hand something in. And almost when that's taken away from you, it's kind of, you're off, to do your own, which is even more why we need to kind of protect our children because I still class, even when they leave school, it's still children. It's still such a young age. Yeah. It's such a vulnerable age, I guess, where there isn't that support network.
Definitely. And so much need to change. And our work that we do here, we still have so much work to do. It's still so much. It's never ending. And it's never ending, because there's so much need changing.
I guess there is, because we look at the educational side of it, and like I said, I've always taken my hats off to teachers. I think it's an incredibly difficult job, especially if you've got 30 children that all learn differently, and then we then take a child that is neurodiverse, say someone with dyslexia or someone with ADHD, dyscalculia, and then that in its whole entirety can be really difficult. And then we look at the kind of the workplace as well. That can be, some workplaces are not set up. I mean, I guess in an ideal world, in a perfect world, wouldn't that be lovely? But if we had a child that was supported through school, maybe like you mentioned, about the early diagnosis, then they left school, went into further education, and then into the workplace. But there was an understanding of dyslexia, so to speak, throughout the school, college, university, and then the workplace. And I guess I'm not always asking for, special treatment or anything else, or, the most elaborate tool to do the job or something. I'm just asking maybe for a fairer way of me being able to deliver the task that you're asking me to deliver.
I had the same thing with university. I remember doing, when I started my master's, and the first assessment we had was to do, it's like an interview, but we had to record ourselves giving the answers to the questions, pretend that we're going for a clinical job in psychology. And I couldn't tell you how difficult it was. And whilst I do media and I do the radio and everything else, but it really was difficult because it's more of an academic setting and anything else. And I just thought, and then the exam after that we had to do, I just totally lost it on it, because it's the style that you're trying to teach me. I'm not conducive to that at all. It's different. So that's what I'm saying to university schools, universities, colleges. It's very important to find out that child's, even if nothing to do with neurodiversity, find out the learning style.
And that's, like I said, that starts from a conversation. That starts from a conversation of, because I always find whenever I mentioned, I speak to people and they say, well, I went to my workplace and mentioned that I have dyslexia. And the first thing they said is, what do you need to, what do you need? And it's almost like a shopping list. And then they go, okay, well, and it depends on how far you are within your own journey of your own diagnosis or experience, maybe in previous education or previous kind of workplaces, what kind of works for you. But sometimes you can be at that stage where the employer's saying, what is it you need? And the emphasis then put back on, the person, and the person says, well, I'm not too sure. And then you have this sort of stalemate kind of part of it where, because I always found, I don't know if it was the same for you, as soon as I got my diagnosis, I then went heavily into researching it myself to try and understand what this was. It wasn't, I had a dyslexia tutor come around every week and give me more information. It was, my friend Google and speaking to organizations.
Yeah, because in the workplace, it can be difficult for people. See, having dyslexia, it can work in your favor and it can work against you as well. Because if you're into an employment environment where they have no idea about dyslexia, they don't know how to support you, they don't know what you need, and they're asking you what you need, a lot of that goes down to the lack of awareness of them understanding what's involved and how can I support this person in the most successful way. Because once you get that support, going back to the support, we excel. We will do whatever it is. We just need that support. So doing my master's as well, going back to that, I've been blessed to have been able to get a DSA to help me with getting a laptop, getting a printer, getting a support worker to help me with my work, how to structure it. Because the thing is, we can write until the cows come home, but it's not necessarily going to be in the order or sound in the way that it should be academically. And having that support of somebody be able to say, oh, have a look at this paragraph, it's not, you need to change that around. It's a massive game changer, especially studying. It really is. And that's
it really is.
Diagnosis.
We're coming up to our kind of time. I did say that it would I could talk to you all day. I'm like I said, I'm incredibly inspired by everything that you're doing. I wish you the very best with the radio show. Like I said, I'm a massive fan.
I need you on it as well. You're coming on.
I am. I would be humbled to be a guest. Definitely, we will sort that out offline. I would love to be a guest. That'd be amazing. I'd be a viewer than a guest. That'd be
You can talk about your story. You can share your story, because I'd had Liz on there as well, and quite a number of other dyslexics. So we just need to keep talking, keep that conversation, sharing different stories. My passion is to sort of like dispel all these myths in the Black community about, if you have dyslexia, you're not stupid, you're not backwards, you're not dumb. All of these words that's been used against us, we can carry them all the way through our life thinking, I still do silly things like spelling is not my greatest thing. And people who see my post and they'll say, wow, that was a brilliant post. You don't know how long it took me to actually go through and even a post-it, I spot something that's wrong. I was like, edit. So,
yeah, bless
you
you.
know,
Yeah.
and that's why people always say, you can't be dyslexic because you do this so well, and you do that, and you do this. But I am, but you don't see my struggles in the background, you know?
It's all that behind the scenes work
Yeah.
that we do, and then they just see the kind of the end product.
The
And
pretty
then,
bits of it, all the good successful side of it, it's all pretty, and it's, you know, it took a long time to get it pretty.
Definitely, and that's, you know, when I see the work that you're doing, I kind of, you know from my own experience of how, you know, a simple post, I guess, can, you know, need to be double checked, or even like, you know, there's some posts I put together, I spent like 20-40 minutes on, and then I'll delete, you know, and it just doesn't, in my head, doesn't sound right. But when I pass it to my kind of my partner, and I said, oh, can you have a look at this post? And she's like, yeah, okay, because she's incredibly supportive like this, and she'll go through and she says, that's brilliant. But there's something in me thinking, oh, it just doesn't make sense, you know. And so I've got to a stage now where I just kind of, well, I'll post it, and then it seems okay. But at that time, second, third, fourth, fifth guessing, that, you know, the stuff that we're putting out, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but that's part, because I laugh now, because sometimes I even do my flyers for my show, and I have the information there in front of me, but I would have spelt the name wrong or something like that. And I just laugh at myself because I think I know what it is. Why, you know, before being diagnosed, I used to think, oh, why would, you know, get really annoyed with myself, thinking, why do I make this silly mistake? Why? What is it? Why do I do that? So it really is, and I'm just so proud and happy to share the word about it and create more.
Well, you're, like I said, you're doing truly, you know, incredible job. And like I said, I'll be, you know, watching.
Like you, Aaron, you're doing some. I've been watching your journey for a long time since we connected on LinkedIn, and I see the work that you do, and I see the effort that you put out there to making things a lot easier for us, you know, a little bit easier for us. And I just want to say thank you as well.
Oh, bless you. I'm truly, honestly humbled by that.
You both do amazing work.
Thank you so much. I will let you go and to enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'm sure it's probably busy. And I hope you have an incredible weekend. I can't thank you enough. Oh, before we go, if people are looking to connect with you, how can they get hold of you?
LinkedIn, anywhere. That's my name on there. Just connect with me, and then we can have a chat. They can, you know, they're happy to. I have a group. When I started the group, it was just myself in there, and I now have about 260 people in the Empowering Dyslexic Facebook group. So anyone want to join us in there, you know, constant, myself and Marcy. A shout out to Marcy right now. She's always there helping me to you know, we work together and getting information out there and posting stuff.
Incredible. And I'll put any links that you want me to put on this and onto YouTube or on the podcast as well. I would be more than delighted to. Have an incredible, thank you so much indeed for your time. Like I said, I know how incredibly busy you are. Thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of Friday, a great weekend, and I will catch up with you very, very soon. Take care, my friend. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that just as much as I did. Incredible lady doing phenomenal stuff. If you're not connected with her already, please do reach out and connect and see the amazing stuff that she's doing. I could have spoken to her for hours and hours and hours, and heard more. There's not, like I said, I say this with guests before, but there's so much on here that we've not even kind of touched on completely. But guys, that's another Neurodiversity Stories for today. We will be back next Friday with another incredible guest. Have an amazing rest of the Friday, a fantastic weekend, and I will see you soon. Take care, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.